Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Hi Ann. Hi Melissa. How are y'all this morning? Okay, so I decided to do a live. I think I'm going to do some more lives more often. And I had a lot of requests for flower arranging. And truthfully, when I'm making flower arranging, like traditional YouTube videos, it's not very fun. And I don't get a lot of interaction or a lot of feedback. So I thought, you know what? I'll do some lives for the flower arranging. Therefore, people who like really want to watch, they can watch, and those who don't, they don't have to. And then you guys can ask questions along the way. And Lita's on here. Hey girl, how are you? And Deborah. Yay! Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is all lives are new to me. This is only my second live to do. My last one I just did on a whim at a for a nursery at Covington's Nursery. I think I'm going to do some more of those as well because I like doing the lives when I'm just out and about because quite frequently I get a lot of people who are local watching me do videos when I'm at nurseries and stuff. And if I do a live, then they can know right away what's available at the local nursery for them. I don't want to gatekeep any secrets or where things are located or anything like that. So, but I started my morning off harvesting a whole bunch of basil that I grew. We've got dark opal basil, which is absolutely lovely. And I've got some lemon basil over here as well. And I was in here stripping the lemon basil and scared the crud out of myself because there was a praying mantis on here. And I immediately ran and took it outside. It was beautiful. I should have taken footage, but I was freaking out because I didn't want to accidentally hurt it or kill it because praying mantis are really great to have for your garden. So super excited about that. Okay. P is asking, do I have a dedicated fridge for my flower bulbs? I wouldn't call it a dedicated fridge only for the flower bulbs. I do have a refrigerator out in the garage, and typically in that refrigerator, we keep all of the Gatorades, water bottles, drinks, that kind of stuff, and a small portion of that will hold my flower bulbs. Most important thing for the refrigerator for your bulbs is not to have any fruit in there, no fruit in there while you've got your bulbs in there because it emits a certain amount of gas that causes issues with creating a flower bulb and this whole shebang. So if you don't have a dedicated fridge, it's not the end of the world at all. You can just make sure you're just not storing any fruit during the time that you've got your bulbs in there. Now, I do know that several people over the years that I've chatted with about flower bulbs, they go and buy like one of those dorm room mini fridge, and they don't buy it brand new. They buy it on Facebook Marketplace. You get it from a college kid who's graduating and doesn't need it anymore. Get it for 20 bucks, and they set that up for their flower bulbs, and they only plug it in when they need it to store flower bulbs, and the rest of the time they just unplug it and keep it off to the side. So keep that in mind. I hope that answers your question. Okay. I have another comment in French, y'all, and even though I took 3 years of French, have no idea how I have no idea what it says except bonjour. I apologize, and that you're watching. I believe you're watching from Quebec, and I apologize if this is not in. If this didn't translate into French for you, so I don't see a way to translate your question. I apologize for that. So, and yeah, I did take 3 years of French. I was originally an art history major in school, and French was a really good option to be an art history major. But I do not have the brain for foreign language, for multiple languages. Interestingly enough, my husband and my daughter Ivy and my older son Jeffrey, they all have quite the knack for languages. And so My two oldest are in Spanish, and they speak Spanish back and forth to each other with their father. And then I sit there not knowing anything because my brain just doesn't work like that. I'm the creative one in the group, not the one for languages or math. Math is not great for me either. Lots more highs. Hi, Debbie. She wishes your live was in French. I will try to figure out how to do that. So if anybody else knows how to tell her, I will try to figure that out for the future. I'm good, Pia. I'm glad that helped. Awesome. Awesome, you guys. Okay, cool. Okay, we're arranging flowers today. I've got the vase I'm working with. This is just a traditional ceramic vase that I picked up from Home Goods years and years ago. It actually has the original sticker still on it that says made in Portugal. And I've always left it because I think the sticker is absolutely beautiful. It just shows like a really beautiful, like a little back alleyway of houses that's all like whitewashed and beautiful. And I've already got it filled up with water. And I get questions all the time of, do I put plant food in my water? And the answer is yes and no. I do not buy the plant food. Now, if I pick up flowers from the grocery store and it has plant food, and it usually comes like 2 or 3 in there, I will save it for the future. But I don't spend extra money on plant food. With as many flowers as I produce in my garden, I'm not worried about them lasting forever and ever. If I get 3 to 5 days, and let's be honest, because I'll make this beautiful flower arrangement and I'm totally going to forget to water it. That's how it rolls. Now, you can be really diligent and take care of your flowers, pull them out every day, trim about 1/2 inch off the bottom, put fresh water in it, the whole thing. I do not do that. That's not who I am as a person. And yes, I'm using a spade to help this dissolve a little bit. I got this this like scooper. It's called a soil scoop, and it's like serrated on the edges. It's by Garden Works, and I got it at an estate sale not long ago for $3, and I love it. Okay, so I do use plant food if I have it on hand, but I do not take the time to go ahead and buy it myself. I don't take the time or the money to do that. Now, with the exception of the basil, all of my flowers were harvested yesterday, and that will be a video for my Bloom Buddy patrons where I will be talking about and showing how I harvested all these flowers. So the flowers I ended up harvesting are a ton of beautiful zinnias. We have some purple Prince zinnias. And let me just give it a second because this is just a touch behind. So I want to see if this is like focusing on here or not. Hi, Linda. It's so good to see so many of y'all's names. Okay, so let me reach a little bit further with this. Okay, so this is a purple Prince zinnia. I have not planted these in years. They keep reseeding themselves around my garden, and I love them because the blooms are huge. It's massive, and I have big man hands, y'all. So you can tell these are really large blooms. Next, I have some of these are mixed in our Art Deco. This is an Art Deco mix of zinnia. This is kind of a lighter color, but that one's really pretty as well. I've also got some polar bear zinnias tucked in here. And I definitely have like spiders and all kinds of craziness all over these. I harvested these yesterday, and I put them in a bucket with water, bring them inside, put them in a nice, cool, dark place, and allow them to just spend time soaking up the moisture. So I also harvested some luscious cocoa marigolds. These are massive. These yellow ones I'm obsessed with. Absolutely obsessed with. This is my 2nd year to grow them. I started growing them when I saw them on You Can't Eat Grass with Serena. And I absolutely love Serena. And she started growing these for her flower farm when she was doing the flower farm. And so I've started growing the cocoa marigolds. I have them in the yellow, which tends to be really large. And then I do have it in the orange as well. And I feel like my orange blooms weren't as big this year. These were all grown from seed, but they're still lovely. Still really happy with them. I also like to grow cocoa marigolds in gold color, which is in between the orange and the yellow. I thought I had started a bunch of those, but I don't see any of them coming to fruition. So I thought I had started a bunch and planted them out, but maybe not. And then finally, I have a whole bunch of celosia. And I have no idea what this variety of celosia is anymore because I haven't planted celosia in my garden in probably 5 years. So this is just reseeded celosia, open pollination. Open pollination means I just let all the bugs and everything cross pollinate and do whatever they want with it. And this grows crazy all over my garden. And one of the things I talk about in the video for my Bloom Buddy patrons is that if you're going to plant celosia in your yard, be prepared to have it forever. Because like this one bloom will have 100 seeds on it, which is crazy. And the seeds are tiny, tiny, tiny black specks that are just a little bit shiny, and they get everywhere. And in fact, I actually had somebody the other day ask about how do I keep the seeds from falling out of the celosia when I have an arrangement. I don't know, but if you figure it out, let me know because they will leave little black seeds all over your table or whatever. So originally in my video, I was talking about, oh, I think I'm going to dry a bunch of these flowers, but I opted for, they're just so beautiful. I mean, I couldn't say no to arranging that. I mean, come on, absolutely beautiful. Now, one thing I've gone through is I've stripped off most of the leaves off of most of my flowers like this. So most of the stems are just nice and clean. If you do that ahead of time before you start your arrangement, it makes your life so much easier, in my personal opinion. I prefer to sorry, I'm checking to make sure what you guys are saying. It's hard to keep up with all this. Oh yeah, Lita, they're gorgeous. The Cocos are gorgeous. Good morning. Are there 2 Litas on here? Wow. I'm surprised. Okay. So if you prepare yourself for flower arranging, you're going to be in a way better situation than if you're just trying to wing it. Take the time, strip the leaves off, let your flowers sit overnight, suck up lots of moisture, and be ready to go. What I've done with the basil this morning, harvesting it this morning and then not allowing it a lot of time to chill, not the best situation in my personal opinion, but here we are. It's because I decided to do this live super late last night. We had our first football game of the season. I have 2 children in high school. One's a junior, one's a freshman. They are both in the marching band. My daughter is in the color guard, but she also plays the flute, and my son is a trombone player. And it was their first marching band performance at a football game together, which is so, so exciting. And there was a 1-hour rain delay. They did not get home until after midnight last night, and they have school. They still have school this morning. They did not get home until after midnight, and my son had biology, and he's also in advanced placement human geography because he's a big history buff, and he had a ton of work, and so we were up really late, and then we got up really early this morning. I made him a whole package of bacon because this child is an eating machine while he finished his homework this morning. So I did not manage to get a video or get a video edited, so I thought, oh, well, I'll do a live. That'll be great. All right. Got my vase. We're going to start arranging. We're going to be arranging directly into the vase today. I actually prefer to do handheld bouquets where I arrange in my left hand. However, I've got a lot of people saying that that's just really hard for them, and I have very strong hands, so it is kind of easier for me to do that. So I'm going to start with just directly into the vase, simple, and then as I do more of these lives, I'll show you more techniques. Now, I like to create a grid inside my vase. This is a really big, wide open mouth vase, which means basically when you put stuff in, it's just going to fall over at this point, right? And everything will just fall to the side. So what I like to do is I like to go in with my greenery, and I'm just going in and I'm just kind of cutting like an angle on, I think I might switch scissors. I like these scissors better for trimming. I cut an angle on the stem, and then I'm just kind of putting it in here. I'm going to trim some of these up. Just trying to work it in there, and I'm making sure that as I put them into the water that the stems are crossing each other. So the stems are going like this, and they're going like this from multiple angles. And when you start doing that, it starts creating a grid in the water. So I'm doing that, and you can already see that some of the basil is starting to stand up because there's an existing grid in the water. That's super important. And every time I'm putting it in, I usually put in with my right hand because I'm right-handed, making sure my stem is going across the vase, and then turn as you're working on it. Always keep turning the vase. I used to have a Lazy Susan. I broke it years ago. But I used to have a Lazy Susan, and that worked really great as well. So you can definitely keep your eye out for a situation like that. So I started with the lemon basil. The reason I started with the lemon basil is because it's a little bit nondescript compared to the other basil. So I like utilizing it as a foundation. And then I can come back with this purple, this dark opal purple basil, and I can add this in specific places. Let's see, and I wonder if the clear spray gloss would help with keeping the tiny, yeah. And am I right that you used to be a florist, or is that somebody else? Let me know. That might be somebody else. I could be wrong. Anne is suggesting that there's a clear spray gloss. There's actually a fresh floral spray too. And she's wondering if we could spray down the celosia and then keep it from dropping all the seeds. And I think that that would definitely help. I don't know if it would keep all the seeds from dropping, but I think it would definitely help with all of that. Okay, so I've got some weird wonky pieces, and I get a lot of questions on what do I do with like this? This is weird. That's a hard stem to deal with, right? So what I do is I look at this as two stems. So I start from the bottom and I travel up, and when I get to my first V, I declare that my first stem. So this length and then up to here. So I'm going to make a cut right there, right above that. And now I've got two stems that are a little bit easier to deal with. Now, when I have a stem that has an obvious lean to one side like this, I'm going to make sure that I'm putting it into my arrangement leaning out because I like drapey arrangements. So very simply, you could go like this. Make sure I get it down in there. It's fighting me a little bit. Yes, I was, Anne. That's what I thought, Anne. Anne was a florist. Okay, so I like it where my foliage kind of leans outward like that. Like I think that that's a pretty look. Let's say you have another piece like this, right, that's leaning out, and you don't want that, okay? So you don't want it all leaning out. You want it towards the middle. You can turn your piece facing into the middle, so facing into the middle, and then I'm pointing the stem a little bit at an angle, and I'm going to work it back in so that my stem comes across the top of the arrangement like that, as opposed to leaning out. So you can definitely just maneuver and mess with things. One great thing about this kind of arranging, where I'm arranging in one container, let's say you don't like it, you can pull it all out and start fresh. So don't stress if it's not the way you want it to be. So I'm just continuing to go in with the purple basil, and I'm rotating my design as I'm doing it so I can have a better look. Here's another one where we have a wonky stem, and this very easily can be turned into two stems, just like that. And a lot of times these smaller stems are a little bit easier to manage. So now I only have one more piece of purple basil, so I'm kind of just working around to see like where I have a hole that might need to be filled. Okay. So I've got my arrangement set with all of my greenery in here, and I think it looks nice. I think it looks really good. So I'm going to put this aside for a second, and I want to talk to y'all about these other flowers and how we're going to start positioning them in there. I have 33 people watching. I can't believe it, y'all. Thank you. So excited. All right, cool. Okay, we're going to look at filler flowers versus focal flowers. These quite obviously are your focal flowers. They're bold, they're bigger, they stand out. We've got our zinnias and we've got our cocoa marigolds. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm pulling all my flowers out of the water and I'm arranging. Did I drop one? No, I think we're okay. I'm going to put all of my white zinnias in a pile, just like this in front of me. I'm going to take all of my bold pink zinnias and I'm going to put them in a pile. And doing this makes your life a lot easier when you want to start picking these up, okay? I know that it makes, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like, why aren't you just leaving them in the bucket? Why wouldn't you just leave them there? Well, I've got probably 60, 70 stems stuffed into this bucket. And when you start pulling them out, a lot of times they can get stuck on one another. And so by doing this, it makes it way easier to pick it up while I'm arranging and working with them. Now I have some broken stems. Got one right there. I went ahead and saved it. I'm going to show you how to deal with that later. Let's see. Okay, that, push that over, that over. I'm going to pull out my orange. Woo, marigolds. And my orange marigolds, they actually went in, they were some of the first flowers to go in with the celosia, and so they're the ones that are all tangled up with celosia, and you can see I'm trying to pull multiple things, and it's hard to get them out. This one is like crossed through a bunch. There we go. And some of these aren't looking as fresh as they looked yesterday. So like this guy looks pretty sad. I'm not going to hold on to him. I'm going to toss them over there. Okay. Cool. Okay. Got all my focal flowers to the side, out of the way. Hey, Annie Joes, how are you? Natasha said, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm catching you live. Beautiful arrangement. Thank you, sweetie. You guys are so nice. Okay. I legit look forward to interacting with y'all every day. I like y'all way better than like people out, like people that I'm around all the time. I was telling my sister, I was like, I look forward to answering comments and chatting with people who are watching all this stuff because it just makes me happy. Almost everybody has nice things to say. Sometimes not. I get some crazy comments. I typically, if it's a negative comment, I just block that person. They can still watch my videos, but they can't comment on any of my videos. I don't reply to them because there's nothing that's going to be resolved in that reply. And I think it's only going to instigate more issues and elongate the situation. So I have blocked quite a few people over there. Hey, Patty. I live in Mississippi and I love cutting flowers from my flower beds and arranging into beautiful bouquets and arrangements. This live is right up my alley. I'm so happy, Patty. Awesome. Yay. Y'all make me so happy. Anyway, negative comments. I had one issue when I first started several years ago, when I very first started my lives, I had this creepy person who would make comments about my body and they would like put them on there. It's crazy. And I blocked them and then they kept coming back and starting new profiles. It was really freaky scary. Finally got it figured out where I don't have to be around that person anymore. Okay, we've got our green base. Now, logically, I feel like a lot of people immediately would start going to the focal flowers, and I've got mine divided up. However, I do want to say that I am going to put in a few, let me look at this first. So most of my celosia is pretty good. You know, it's like a normal size and such. I do have a few of these larger celosia, And I think I'm going to pull out a couple of those larger celosia and try to go ahead and work them into the design. See what I'm saying? Like this isn't really like super pretty. So I'm okay with it being layered over with other flowers, but I still want to use it. And I like to use as many flowers as I can. I know that it would make sense to divide this into multiple arrangements, but a lot of times I'll shove every single flower I possibly can. Yeah, Debbie, total weirdo. The guy was super weird. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to start adding some of these bigger celosia. Now I'm putting a cut angle down here. If you have different flowers that you feel like need more water, like hydrangeas, you can also cut up the stem on there to open up the stem more to allow more water. Celosia actually dries beautifully. It doesn't need tons of water. When I'm inserting these, I'm inserting them at an angle into the design. I'm not going straight up right away because I don't really, not looking to fill that center portion with these flowers. And then I'm rotating about a quarter turn. And then, like I said, I'm pulling these more bigger, wonkier celosia that really are getting kind of nestled in a little bit further. And they're almost becoming part of the grid support situation. Okay, see that in there? Hi, Veronica. Said, hi, I'm Veronica from Kingwood, Texas. I know where that is. I have family in Conroe, not far from you. I'm newer to Texas, and you've been my garden inspiration and love to watch your channel. My son is a junior and also in marching band, plays trumpet. Woohoo! That's exciting. I'm a huge marching band nerd. Big time marching band nerd. I was in band all the way through school. Now, in high school, I actually played the clarinet, but during marching band season, I was in color guard for 9th and 10th grade. And then when at 11th grade, I was actually a basketball player too. I made the varsity basketball team for 11th and 12th grade, and that does not work with marching band. So I ended up being in the front ensemble for my junior and senior year. And then come college, I went to Texas Christian University, TCU, in Fort Worth, and I was in the color guard there, and I met my husband in marching band. And my older sister is a very prominent Texas band director, and she travels the nation working with other people and has one of the best bands in the state of Texas. And before I even had kids in band, I would go to marching band competitions just to watch because that's totally, I love it. Love marching band. All right, let me get a few more of these tucked in. This is one of the things I wanted to do on lives. I feel like I can have some more personal experiences with you all, as opposed to always just being unavailable, behind the screen. Okay. And so it's kind of fun. We can talk about little things too. Debbie, let's say, hey neighbor, I'm in the woodlands and a fellow frog. What? Let's go frogs, Melissa. Awesome. In the woodlands, let's talk about a really good marching band. That's good marching band. Your color guard perhaps is the best color guard in the entire nation. You're really, really good. And then Debbie, my youngest son, was in the marching band. He played clarinet. I play clarinet. I love marching band. It's a great organization for my kids. And I am very involved with marching band. I'm the guard liaison. I also just took over fundraising and sponsorship because the guy who was doing it had to step down. And I also have been helping build the props for our show, which are 10 foot tall by 8 foot wide brains that we hand carved out of styrofoam. And I carved them using a chainsaw because that's how into band I am. Okay. So we've got some foundation ones in here. The next thing I want to do is I want to really start layering in my favorite flowers, and that's going to be these yellow marigolds. And I want them to be massive focal points. So I'm going to leave the stems a little bit longer, and I'm going to make sure that I put them in exactly the right spots for myself where they're going to be very prominent and very showy. And I think that I am going to end up using almost all of the yellow marigolds because I'm just obsessed. And, I don't actually like a lot of other yellow flowers. I just really enjoy these. Let's see. Yes, they're good, but my kids went to College Park, also a very good. College Park is also a very good one. You're totally right. You're like, I don't want to talk about the Woodlands. That's awesome. Yes, College Park is also awesome. All right. All right, so we're going to continue tucking in these yellow ones. Now, I am planning on putting this arrangement on my coffee table. Let me see how messy my house is. I might place it later and show you where it's going to go. Because it's on my coffee table, it is a 360 view. And so I want to be able to, no matter what direction I'm walking from in my living room, I want to be able to see beautiful flowers from all angles. I don't typically make like super even arrangements, and I don't know if Anne will agree with me, her being a florist, that I've probably made 1,000 bouquets of like perfectly symmetrical dozen roses, and I've done a lot of that. And it seems it's hard and it's an art, but it seems very restrictive. And so I tend to be a little bit more whimsical with my approach, so I don't tend to be perfect. Now I love when I have a bloom that has like this natural, graceful, like fallen arch to the side, because it's a perfect opportunity to kind of enhance some other stuff I'm doing. So let me move this other way. You see over here, I've got some greenery that's coming out to the side like this. So I want to come in with my arching flower, and I want it to arch and drape the same direction as that greenery. And you see how that just increased the size of the bouquet by like 3 or 4 inches by bringing a focal point flower out to the side, and it mimics the drape of the greenery. Cool? All right. So you can definitely do some things like that. That's where I like to get whimsical with my arrangements. And I've got some over here, and I have, once again, this is a natural one. I think this, just the head of this flower is just so heavy that it kind of creates one. So I'm going to come over here to this opposite side, and I'm going to put another one in that leans out with this direction of the greenery. And remember to keep rotating, rotating, rotating. This guy looks not great. Toss him over there. I don't do a lot of harvesting at peak on my flowers. I don't stress about that. I'm not a flower farmer, so I'm not selling these flowers. So I don't stress if I'm not harvesting them at peak. Obviously, if you want your flowers to last longer, maybe you're going to give them to a friend or family member, you want to make sure you're harvesting them at peak. So a lot of these marigolds are, well, marigolds last a long time anyway, but they're kind of later in life. All right, we've got this guy. Remember that was bent earlier? All right, so let's see if we can save it. So what I'm going to do is it's going to need support. All right, it's going to need a situation where basically I've got enough flowers where the flower slides down and it's supported, the head of the flower is supported by what's around it. All right, so I'm being very gentle with it, and I'm holding below and above the break, and I'm going to push the stem down, and then I'm going to try to situate it. Just wove it through some of the basil leaves, and now that flower is usable and supported. One more cocoa marigold. Let's see what all y'all are saying. Hi, Kristen's on. Okay, Kristen, you can't watch my live. Okay, y'all, my friend Kristen, y'all see shopping with her. She's like the guru of wedding floral design for Dallas Fort Worth. You can't watch my live. You're going to make fun of me. Kristen's on. Sunny is on. God, Melissa. Renee, can you sow marigolds and planters now? I'm a gardener in Fleming Island, Florida. Florida? Yeah, you totally can. You just need to make sure that you're watering those once, maybe twice a day, probably twice a day, to make sure that those seeds are staying moist until they get sprouted. But yes, Florida, yeah, you can totally go ahead and start now on those, and Anne agrees. Kristen, Anne is a florist too. Lita's, yes, Kristen, that's Lita. So several of my patrons are finding each other on this, which is kind of fun. Marigolds. I'm headed to the cottage, so just listening. Oh, Lita's going to do some weeding while watching. Good idea. Okay, so let me get this last one in. Okay, I'm not going to lie. This is pretty. You could stop. You could totally stop. I'm not going to, but you could totally stop at this point. All right, so I've got my yellow ones. They were in very important to me. The next ones I'm going to put in are the orange cocoa marigolds. These are not looking, I don't think the orange look nearly as good as the yellow, in my personal opinion. I don't know if I'm going to use all of the orange in here because I really want the dominant colors to be the yellow and the magenta of the zinnias. I wish I could play music while I'm doing this, but that would be a copyright strike. I usually have music going when I'm arranging, which is a lot of times when I'm doing flower arranging, I do voiceovers quite frequently. All right, so let's talk about situations like this, where you've got one stem and it splits off into two flowers. You can totally use it like this if you want, and when you're putting it in, use one hand to pull the flowers together and then put the whole stem. Or you can go through and cut these into shorter ones to bring a little color down low, and that is going to be my choice. So I'm actually going to cut off the long points of the stem, so I have much shorter blooms. But what that's going to allow me to do is come down lower on some of these, and then tuck in a little color down low towards the edge of the vase. I don't like to see a lot of stems showing down low next to the vase. I like for the edge of the vase to be gracefully accented with the greenery. And so bringing a little bit of bloom down there is helpful in those regards too. So that allows me to put some shorter in there just to bring a little color down low. Okay, so if I do some more lives, what would y'all want to see in some lives? Obviously, flower arranging is fun, but not for everybody. So if you have any ideas and thoughts on lives, let me know. Actually, I don't like that one. This one has it's starting to dry in the center, so it's like dark in the center. And I don't like the look of it, so I don't want it. Oh, okay, this is a really great feature one. So we've got double blooms and a bud, which I really like. And I know exactly where to put that because I have a hole. Let me show you this hole, actually. Got a hole right here. Like I can stick my whole hand down here. So I've got like an opening that's just like nothing. So I'm going to come in and work this into that hole. And now my hole is filled. Cool. Wait, hi from Sweden, Ulrika. Am I saying that right? I'm sure I'm butchering it. I struggle. I have a Southern accent and I'm not great. My speech is not awesome. So I apologize if I butchered your name. Sorry. Yay. So we had someone from Sweden, someone from Quebec. How fun is that? Okay, we got another double. And I have like a little trash pile off to the side over here. Like as I'm cutting different stuff off, I'm kind of trying to keep most of it over to one area if I can. This one also has a natural lean to it. So I'm going to play that to my advantage. I have a hole right here. See that negative space? So I'm going to play that. And if your stem's not going in easily, which that's going to start happening now because I got a bazillion flowers in here. So I'm going to work that in there. Now if I feel like I'm losing my yellows a little bit, I can come in here with 2 fingers underneath the bloom and gently pull up and bring it more into the place I want. Just a couple of fingers, just like this, under the bloom head supporting it, and gently tug on it to move it into a spot that you want. I'm sorry I'm so sniffy. Okay, let's add a little drama, and we're going to do that with this guy right here. So this is a naturally curved stem. We've got one going up and one draping out, and I'm thinking I'm going to put it right here in this area just to extend out the arrangement a little bit, make the arrangement a little bit larger. Let's see, Melissa, do flowers do better seeds starting in trays or direct sow? I tried direct sow zinnias and they failed. I fail at direct sow zinnias every time, so you are not alone in that situation whatsoever. It really depends on the flower and your environment. For me, I'm too hot in this area to do a lot of direct sowing. Direct sowing that works really well for me is like cool flowers direct sowing. So like I could do like cornflowers, or those would work really good, or bachelor's buttons. Those would work well. Basil would probably do pretty well, even though that's not necessarily a cool flower. Celosia is pretty aggressive. It would do pretty well. So some things, yes, you can direct sow, and some you can start indoors. You've probably noticed if you've been following me for any amount of time, I do most of my stuff started inside because I'm a control freak. So that's how that rolls. Okay, we are looking really, really good. Once again, you could stop here, but we're not going to do that. So I am going to switch over, trying to decide, should I put the white in or should I leave it out and just do the magenta? I'm thinking just the magenta. What do y'all think? Deborah's asking, see Christmas wreaths and swags made from fresh greens. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Deborah, and I might have forgot what I said that goes to that. Lita, I bought seed packets at the Dollar Tree, and they did amazing with direct sow. Good. Yay. Okay, so Lita Preston knows what Deborah's talking about, but I apparently am clueless and did not pay attention very well. Kristen said she's talking about your next live. Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. And Kristen, you should come do that live with me. We should do that. That'd be really fun. Kristen's trying to get her own YouTube channel started too, y'all. That would be super good. Kristen, do you want any hot pink, magenta, brain-styled celosia seed? I have a bunch. Yes, I do want some of that, please. Future live, Deborah. Yeah, I'm sorry, Deborah, that I'm slow and was not on top of that. Melissa saying she's had good results with basil. I assume direct seeding that as well. I love when y'all talk about what's going well with you. Okay, I agree with Lita. I'm just going to do just the pink magenta instead of the white zinnias. And what I want to do, what I'm doing first is I'm looking at these and I'm finding my favorite one. My biggest, most favorite of all my zinnias, this beautiful zinnia head, absolutely gorgeous. And now I'm stepping back from my arrangement, getting down a little bit, looking a little crazy, and I'm turning and I'm finding my front, and this is going to be my front. Okay, so this is going to be my front, it's facing out towards y'all, and I'm going to put my favorite, most beautiful zinnia in a prime location in the front. And I'm going to put it right here. And it's going to sit up a little bit higher than my other flowers. And now what I'm doing with my zinnias is these are, even though the marigolds were the focal flowers, these zinnias are also a focal flower. I'm going to start working in my zinnias, and they're going to sit just a little above my marigold. See how I just nestled that in there? Now, this one is not a pretty bloom. It's old, it's aged. It's not super pretty. So I don't want it in a super prominent position. I'm going to cut the stem shorter. I'm going to come down lower, and I'm going to work it more, just like we were talking about earlier, towards the opening of the vase. And it will bring a little color down low, but not be a feature flower. I am very strategic in how I do a lot of this, and I think that's just from years of doing this. If you're a newbie, just stick some stuff in there, try it out. So once again, I'm just kind of looking for a negative space. I want my zinnias to overlap with my marigolds a little bit. I don't want them to like exist in their own space by themselves. I want them to have some interaction. I don't want them to be perfectly spaced out, every flower perfectly spaced out. That is a style choice or design choice that I'm making. It's not a requirement in any way. It's definitely getting harder to work these stems in there. So what you're going to see me doing is I'm going to work my hand in towards the bottom of the stem and help use it to gently push it in. I don't want to push at the head of the flower where it's more likely to break. So I literally am just elongating my hand and using 2 fingers and pushing it in deeper to kind of force it in. A lot of these things come naturally to somebody who's done a whole lot of flower work, but it's important to voice these because it's something that some people just don't realize is an option for them to do. Now, I'm trying not to you'll probably see my arrangement is going this direction. It's not going up anymore. The reason it's not going up anymore is because it's going on my coffee table and I don't want it to get to the point where it's going to be blocking my view. Kristen, I don't want to do it this weekend while I'm at the cottage, nerd. Okay. When I call her nerd, she's my friend. She's been my friend for a decade, so we can call it. All right, should I start collecting greenery now and drying it out for Christmas wreaths? It depends on what kind of greenery you want to do, Natasha. I'm actually about to cut back a bunch of my boxwoods, and I think I'm going to try to dry the boxwoods and use them in some greenery wreaths. I most likely, for a live, I will most likely use fresh greenery, or I'll use silk greenery for Christmas greens for me. And couple of reasons behind that. I won't use a lot out of my own yard because I don't have a lot of evergreens in my yard whatsoever. I do have a friend's house and they have a lot of cedar, but I am allergic to cedar pine or cedar evergreens, but I use them anyway, but I really shouldn't use them as much as I do. So I'll have to think about it and decide what I want to do with that. I have this beautifully shaped flower, and this shaped flower, its flower is turned towards the front. I've got the front of the design facing towards me. So I'm going to allow the stem, I'm going to visualize if the stem was sitting in the vase, where it would place, like if it's going in like this. If it's going in like this, it would be in a different place. So thinking about how I want to visualize it going into the vase, and then I'm going to just tuck it in. Just like that. I'll have to think about I think doing wreaths and garlands is a great idea. It's way easier than you think. You just really need space because it takes up a lot of space and it's messy. So, but I think it's really fun to do. It's not something you do in a hurry. It's something that you put on a Christmas movie. Like one of my favorite Christmas movies, quote unquote Christmas movies to watch every year is While You're Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman. Obsessed with it. And I like to put it on when I'm doing a Christmas craft. Oh, Natasha, I have a woods behind my house, and that is what I was going to do. You know, Natasha, okay, if you have woods behind your house, I think it's worth, if you've got a lot of stuff, going and grabbing some and trying to dry it out, hang it upside down, put it in a nice, cool, dark place. and trying to dry some of it out and see what it looks like in a couple of weeks and see if it's something that you do want to try to do more of. Don't go get like a bazillion, like don't go cut 100 stems of it. Go cut a handful, maybe a dozen, and tie those up and dry those out and see what it ends up being. Is it something you like? Does it fall apart? Do you not like the color that it turns as it dries? So go explore that, and then you are going to be better prepared as we get closer to that time of the year. Okay, I've only got a few more zinnias to tuck in. The front is now facing y'all. It's pretty from all sides, but this is definitely the wow moment. This is the area that I will face towards my spot on the couch. You know how everybody in your family, like you have your own spot. I have my own spot on the couch, so I will aim the front towards my spot on the couch. Now, let's talk about these kind of zinnias like this. And this one, what happened is it was on a stem that fell over and then it resituated itself towards the light. It's heliotropic. So it turned itself and started growing up. So what can I do? Well, I can use a lot of the same process that I did with that broken marigold. So I can push this down and get it to a place where it's supported and it turns the flower upright. Or I can just put it in and just love the angle, just go for the angle. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go with something that's at an angle. So let me show you a little bit about what I'm going to do. I'm going to work it right here. I don't want it down turned like that because that signals dead flower to me. So I'm going to try to situate it kind of where it's kind of going up a little bit. So, and I apologize, my stomach is growling. I hope y'all can't hear it. I had to get up so early this morning to help Jeffrey with biology since we didn't get home until so late last night. Let's see if this is going to work for me. All right, let me see if I can link. Yeah, there we go. A lot of times you can come through and link something else through it to help it go the direction you want. I had to get up so early. And I actually don't like to eat really early in the morning. I usually just have a protein shake. So, but now my stomach's growling. Okay, one last magenta, but we're not done because the very last thing I'm going to end up doing is those celosia. Remember, we went and put the big celosia in, right? That did not go in the way I wanted it. We went and put all the big celosia in. Now I just want to put a few accents of filler celosia in a few places. Okay, so here's the arrangement. Let me turn it slowly for you guys. Move it a little closer. Let me see. This is your front. This is my front. You see it's elongated, and then it gets wider from this position. And my coffee table is a rectangle, a long rectangle. This position. Okay, once again, you can stop here. Truthfully, you could have just done a whole bouquet of basil, which I've done before and is really, really pretty. Debbie says most will dry brown for the Christmas greens. Good to know, dude. So Debbie must have tried that before. Okay, what I'm going to do is now I'm sliding over to my celosia. And I'm looking for, I don't want like big massive ones like this. This is what I don't want to do. I don't want to come in and try to shove these giant ones in here. What I want is I want these delicate, pretty little ones, simple ones that aren't going to fight what's going on in the design. However, they will fill some holes that I have. So I'm literally just going through my bucket right now and pulling ones that I think are pretty and petite and soft. And the rest of this celosia, I think I'm actually going to hang it upside down and dry it. I am wanting to create a seed apothecary. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm obsessed with Halloween. Love Halloween. And I love the idea of like a witch's like laboratory where she's got all her like herbs and spices and stuff for stuff. And so I think I want to create a little seed apothecary that looks vintage, so little glass bottles with handwritten labels and like some kind of wood shelf to collect them. And I would like to utilize them for seeds that I have harvested myself. We got up to 44 people watching, y'all. All right, so now I'm going to go in the celosia. They're going to stick up a little bit, but I don't want them sticking up a lot. So, I mean, you could put them in like this, right? I don't love that. I'm still trying to maintain and just enhance the shape of the bouquet. This is a look, and you can totally do this. I'm choosing not to. I want them more settled down, and they're really just filling in some negative spaces. And we really just want to see a little bit of these tips of these blooms kind of peeking out. And now it's getting hard, right? See how I'm going underneath? I'm going underneath my giant man hands, kind of lifting up the bouquet. This whole bouquet, I could pick out the vase itself, like all together, because now it's all interwoven. It's all gridded together. So look. So what I did is I just lifted it out and allowed the blooms to settle a little bit and soften a little bit. Hey to everybody who's joining. And definitely just going in. I think I'm going to cut a few of my stems shorter. And once again, like I'm going to work them into these kind of areas right here. And they're going to be a little closer to the opening of the vase. This one doesn't want to go. You cut them a little shorter. These celosia stems are big fat stems, so I'm working that one down towards the more the opening of the vase. And these are just the filler flower, just tucking them into a few places for a little bit of interest. These smaller, like way more petite, slimmer stems work best going up high. And like I said, this is just stuff you learn over time. The best thing you can do with flower arranging is just start doing it. And then when you get to the end of a flower arrangement, if you want, take the whole thing out and start over. I'm going to put one more in. This one has a natural lean. Feeling it, y'all. All right, one thing I want to do is I want to get down low. I want to look. So I've got this like weird dangly basil thing going, so I'm tucking that up. And I'm just looking to make sure that we look soft around the edges of the vase when I turn. I don't like to see a lot of leaves on the edges of the vase. I think I need just a touch more basil right here in the front. I think I'm going to run out and cut it real quick. Don't go anywhere. It'll be just a second. You can probably still hear me as I walk outside. We're actually getting rain today. We had rain last night. We had rain right for the football game. But I'm just coming out and just cutting a little bit of the dark opal purple basil. Okay, I just walked through my living room, and I don't think that I'm going to show y'all my arrangement on there. I'll post some pictures of it. I don't want to show y'all because I'm looking at it, and I'm like, there's laundry, there's shoes, my planner's out everywhere. There's boo cups for a band fundraiser that I'm working on. So I just got this beautiful little piece, purple basil. And I have right in front, I have like this weirdness right here, and I don't like to see a lot of stem. So I'm going to tuck a little piece of basil right there. Oh, perfect. That softens the whole thing. Look at that. It's beautiful. Halloween is my favorite. I already started to decorate. I started collecting all my stuff, Debbie. I'm ready. Oh, Janice from Maryland. This has been a great way to spend. Oh, thank you for putting your handle, because you comment on stuff all the time. Yay! And I don't know a lot of people, your handles when you comment, they don't always have your first names. And so, hi Janice. How do we get your Patreon channel? Okay, so I have it in the link to this video right now. You go down and you click on the Patreon link in the video description, and you can go in and join on the free tier. The free tier, you'll see a couple of posts from me each week. I'll ask some questions or post some pictures. There are paid tiers as well. You don't have to do those if you don't want. However, if you do want to do those give you more access. You get additional videos, like there's a video that's going up today for my Bloom Buddy section, and there's also the Sprout Squad. There are two different payment levels, and they give you, if you do the payment ones, you get access to all the group chats, which that's my favorite because we drop all of our issues, all good things. And there's nothing like a group of gardeners to really support you through stuff who understand, which is really great. You get exclusive videos and you get photo sharing. But let me bring this in closer for you guys. Loving it. Absolutely obsessed with it. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think it was really fun. I loved being able to see you guys asking questions and talking. Melissa's off to work. Bye, Melissa. This is really fun. And then these lives, you can go back and watch them. You don't have to only watch them live. And I'm going to try to do them at some different times. 10 o'clock is what worked for me today because I had children up starting at 5:20 or 6:20 this morning. And then it took until 9 o'clock for them to like go to school. So 10 o'clock is what worked for me today, but I'll try some different times, and I'll also try some weekends. A lot of times weekends work better for people. But I hope you guys had a good time today. Lots of y'all commented. If you are not here doing the actual live, drop me a comment, tell me where you're from, tell me if you enjoyed the live, and if you have any ideas for additional lives in the future. I would like to do some lives out in the garden. It's just a little bit harder because I can't get back and forth to read y'all's questions. So I'm not sure if it's as interactive as I would like it to be. On Patreon, I'm about to start lives with my patrons where we are going to be doing, I'm actually going to do one I think on Tuesday this next week, where we are going to be working on our garden journals and planning for our month. And I'm going to do it at the beginning of each month and planning what we're planning for our garden or seed starting or whatever. We're going to talk to each other and get set up for the month. I think that'll be really fun. All right, y'all, let me see. I didn't see any more questions. All right, y'all, as always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.